The real problem with believing in God is that believing in God just makes people feel better. It's not saying that God doesn't exist. It's very possible that God exists, but you don't have the information. No one does. You can decide that you have that information because it empowers you. You can decide that there's a God because it makes you feel more comfortable, or it makes you feel more, that there's a future to this world, and that after you die there's something waiting for you, and that gives you confidence, and that gives you that it can empower you. And that works for a lot of people. I know a lot of fighters who are very religious, and that belief in God that actually empowers them, and it can work that way, but it really is just a tool. It's just a psychological tool that they're using to empower them. It doesn't necessarily help them. What helps them is the state of mind that they put themselves in by believing in God. I mean, it's a really kind of a funny thing. It's a catch-22. Believing in God can empower you. The ideas of Christianity are very empowering ideas. The ideas that love your man as if he is you, and do unto others as if you would have them do unto yourself, and turn the other cheek and don't be violent, and be helping and be loving, and be humble and worship God. The idea of God, what God is life and energy and the whole universe, and that you treat the whole process as it's one gigantic, fantastic thing, and that in going to a religious service, and in practicing any sort of a religion, and like sticking to a certain ethic, that what you're doing is committing to positive energy. And if you commit to that positive energy, and then those positive thoughts and the positive way of thinking, that's empowering. And that really will help you. And if you really do believe that you have a destiny, and that God has carved out this destiny for you, that's an empowering thing. That shit will absolutely make you better at things. You say that's evidence of God, that's evidence of Jesus. Well, maybe, but more likely it's evidence that you put yourself in the exact proper state of mind to achieve things by thinking positive and having positive energy and being a loving Christian. By doing all those things, you've put the good energy out there, and you've given yourself confidence because you're doing the right thing, and you've given yourself a strong belief in yourself because you're following the right path. And in doing that, that's very empowering. That's how God is real. That's how religion is real. But what it really all is, at the heart of it, is you tuning in to the correct frequency of the universe with the least amount of resistance, the least amount of resistance from you, the least amount of negative thinking, the least amount I mean, like when I was a kid, I'd get in arguments all the time with everybody about anything, and really, I was just a knucklehead. I was just a dumb fuck. But I didn't realize that by doing that, by creating all this drama in my life, like it was just distracting the shit out of me, and it was keeping me from doing things that I wanted to do. It was keeping me from being happy and comfortable and friendly, and it was keeping me from, like, I was constantly in a state of causing trouble, and causing drama, and creating all these obstacles in my own life. And I didn't realize it at the time. And I always thought of people that were religious, like, I always thought, well, there's got to be a lot of power in that, because like I was afraid of a dude who was religious, who was on one of the U.S. Taekwondo teams back when I was fighting. There's this dude, I think his name was Bobby Clayton, and I think that's his name. Don't, but he wasn't the best guy, but he was crazy religious, and that used to scare the shit out of me. This dude used to read the Bible every day, and this dude was like super, super, super religious, and he really believed in himself. And I was, not very religious, and even though I was doing really well in these tournaments, and I was, beating a lot of really good guys, there was something about this dude and his religion that scared me. Like, on paper, he shouldn't have been the scariest guy to me, but he was, for whatever reason, because this dude was really religious. So for that belief that he had in himself, that the belief in his faith, and his that all that shit is empowering to him, and I recognized that it was empowering to him, that he was really legit about it, and that his super religious behavior, like he never swore, he didn't drink, he was friendly to everyone, he was like really, really, really dedicated. And that was really buying into, and this is not saying that there's no God. It's not saying that there's not something else. I'm the first one to say that I don't know. I have no idea. But I'm also the first one to say that you don't know either. And anybody that pays any attention to religion, or follows religion at all, and looks at the history of religion, knows that it's a disjointed mess, and nobody even knows the origins of all this stuff, and nobody knows how much people altered the words. And what we do know about it is that even the Bible itself, the oldest version of the Bible, they don't even use the Dead Sea Scrolls. That's the oldest version of the Bible by far. They don't even use that. Wouldn't you think that's like the best one? Wouldn't that's like the purest version of it? No, we're still busy using the New Testament. The New Testament was created by Constantine and a bunch of bishops. They piled it together. And the Old Testament, well, the Old Testament, the real version of it was written in ancient Hebrew. And to this day, in 2009, they only know 3 out of 4 words in ancient Hebrew. That's 25 fucking percent of the words. They don't know what the fuck it means. And on top of that, letters also doubled as numbers back then because there was no numbers. So the letter A was also like the number 1, like if you did it that way. So there was like numerical value to words that was completely lost when they translated ancient Hebrew to Latin and then to Greek. So like the word love and the word God, they have the same numerical value. So we don't even really know what the fuck they were saying. So no, I'm not saying that there's no God, that there's not something else. But what I'm saying is to follow current religion as it's practiced and preached today. It's ridiculous.